Am I the a-hole for wanting to use the hall pass my wife gave me 5 years ago when she cheated on me? My wife, 35 female, and I, 35 male, have been married for 10 years. We have 2 children, 9 female and 7 male. 5 years ago, I found out that my wife had an affair. I felt crushed and numb because I loved my wife a lot. Her affair partner told me about it when my wife called it off. The affair lasted 1 month, and my wife had called it off because she felt really guilty about it. When I confronted my wife about it, she was very remorseful and didn't deny anything. She said she'd do anything, follow any reconciliation steps I asked, and just begged to not break up our family. I asked her why she cheated, and she gave no excuses. She just said it was for the thrill. My first reaction was to divorce, but after sitting on it for a week, I decided to just stick it out for our family and because I still loved my wife. My wife was very thankful, and she even told me I had a hall pass I could use whenever I wanted. Over the next year or so, my wife followed the reconciliation steps, which included therapy, getting sober, quitting her job, and a bunch of other things. I had forgiven my wife, but I could never forget it. I would occasionally just replay in my mind my wife cheating on me, and that always hurt a lot. Fast forward to today, my family is doing great. However, I have struck a friendship with Melissa, 32 female, who I met at a bookstore. We had common interests in books for existentialism, metaphysics, and similar books. I don't know how, but when we met, we just clicked. We initially met every week at the bookstore to just discuss books and life, but we started talking more about our personal life, and we then started going on coffee dates and brunches. One more thing we had in common was that Melissa, too, was married to her husband who had cheated on her many years ago. It's been almost a year since I met her, and Melissa has made it upfront that she has very strong feelings for me, and that she's never had these feelings for anyone else ever in her life. I, too, have a lot of feelings for her, but I feel guilty about it, so I haven't told her about them yet. I haven't crossed any physical boundaries, and I don't intend to. We only hug and hold hands. But I do want to explore more of emotional connection to her because I've never felt like this ever. I remember that my wife gave me a hall pass 5 years ago when she cheated on me. Would I be the a-hole to use that hall pass to explore the emotional connection I have with Melissa? Update. I have decided not to use the hall pass as I don't really feel too great about it, and it wouldn't be fair to my wife. I want to clarify what I meant by using the hall pass. I had no intentions of proceeding with any sexual activity, but instead deepening my emotional connection with Melissa, and may have at worst included kissing. She tried to kiss me once, but I rejected it because I felt guilty about it. I texted Melissa, let her know, and while she was disappointed, she asked if we could still remain friends like we are now, and I told her sure, and she was very happy about it. I do like hanging out with Melissa a lot and talking about life. I also get that flutters and excited energy, and I like that a lot. Am I the jerk for causing a scene at my in-laws' anniversary dinner over my brother-in-law's racist comments? I, female 30 YRs, and my husband, male 32 YRs, have been married for 4 years, and we have a son, soon turning 1. We are really close with my husband's older brother. He is really cool, and we love hanging out with him. However, I have never really gotten along with his younger brother, let's call him Mark, because, among many other reasons, he has a tendency of putting out racist, sexist, or otherwise inappropriate comments. Dare to say, our values and morals simply don't align, but over the years I have learned to bite my tongue and ignore the comments and to act civil around him in family gatherings. Things have, however, changed since having a child, as I do not want him to be exposed to this kind of racist talk, especially from an uncle who should act as a role model to our son. I talked to my husband about this issue and asked him to have a discussion with Mark that we do not allow this kind of talk around our child, as we want to raise him to respect people with different ethnicities, genders, sexual orientations, etc. My husband agreed and promised to talk to Mark about it, or at the very least intervene if Mark does this ever again in the presence of our son. A few days ago, we went over to my in-laws' house for their wedding anniversary dinner. Everyone was having a great time up until Mark had a couple of glasses of wine and begun with his racist slurring yet again. I'll spare you from the details, but let me tell you, it was bad. I looked over to my husband expecting him to do or say something, but he did nothing, just sipped his wine in silence. I felt this sudden rage and couldn't hold it in any longer and angrily hissed at Mark something along the lines of, "Will you shut the F up if you have nothing smarter to say?" The whole room went dead silent, and you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. It was so awkward for everyone. We finished our meal quickly and went home as soon as we could. I was still boiling inside from anger over the whole situation and how my husband didn't stand up to me against his brother. Yesterday, my husband received an angry text from my mother-in-law stating I had ruined their anniversary dinner, my lashing out at Mark at the table like that. I understand her being upset since the dinner was to celebrate their marriage, and the conflict ruined the mood for everyone, and now there is this big drama in the family over what happened. I agree that the timing was not great and that I could have rephrased myself in a more constructive way, but at the same time, I could not take it anymore and felt I had to put a stop to it once and for all. So am I the jerk? Am I the jerk for not letting my dad walk me down the aisle after he cheated on my mom? I'm getting married in a few months. Planning has been mostly smooth except for one really emotional decision I made. I told my dad he won't be walking me down the aisle. And now it feels like half the family thinks I've declared war. Some context: my parents were married for over 25 years. When I was 22, my dad cheated on my mom with a woman from his office, someone only a few years older than me. He didn't confess. My mom found out after seeing some sketchy messages on the iPad they shared. Everything blew up. Divorce, a messy fallout. My mom was devastated. She'd been a stay-at-home mom most of their marriage and had to start over in her 50s. I was crushed. My dad had always been my hero, growing up the classic hardworking, dependable dad joke kind of guy. But after what he did, I saw a whole new side of him. He tried to justify it by saying the marriage had been emotionally over for years and that he just wanted to be happy. That hurt more than the cheating. He seemed so detached from the pain he caused. Even after the divorce, he moved on quickly, started a new life with his girlfriend, and acted like everything was normal. Meanwhile, I watched my mom spiral for years trying to rebuild. I was there for her. She leaned on me a lot, and now, years later, she's stronger, happy. But that time left a permanent mark. So when I started planning my wedding, I knew immediately I didn't want my dad walking me down the aisle. It felt wrong. That role in my mind should be held by someone who protected our family, not someone who blew it up. I love my dad, but I haven't fully forgiven him. I'm polite when we see each other, and I included him in the wedding as a guest, but I asked my older brother to walk me instead. He was my rock through all of it. When I told my dad, he was shocked. He said he was hurt that it was always his dream to give me away, that I was punishing him for something in the past. He said he's still my father, and nothing changes that. Now my stepmom, the woman he cheated with, is furious. She told me I'm being cruel and disrespectful and trying to rewrite history. A few cousins have said I should let it go, that it was years ago and he's still my dad. Even my grandma said she was disappointed in me. But my mom? She cried when I told her about my decision. Not because she was happy he's excluded, but because she felt seen. She told me she didn't expect anything, but knowing I remembered what she went through meant everything. So here I am, wondering if I'm holding a grudge or if I'm just setting a boundary. I don't want to make my wedding about old wounds, but I also can't pretend those wounds don't exist. So am I the jerk? Am I the jerk for asking my fiancé to postpone the wedding after finding out he told his mom every detail of our arguments? I, 27 female, got engaged to Evan, 29 male, 6 months ago. Things were great until recently, when his mom started making oddly specific comments like, "Don't worry, he'll do better about helping with dishes," or, "You're right, communication takes practice." At first I thought it was coincidence until I realized she was referencing our private arguments. I confronted Evan, and he admitted he vents to his mom whenever we fight, including details about what we say, who started it, even screenshots of our texts. He said she gives him perspective. I told him that's a serious breach of privacy and makes me feel like there's a third person in our relationship. He apologized but said he needs her input because she's the calm one. I told him I can't marry someone whose mom gets a play-by-play of our disagreements. I suggested we postpone the wedding until we can set better boundaries. He said I'm being dramatic and making him choose between me and his mom. So am I the jerk for asking for a delay? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit stories. All rights belong to the original author. This video is for narration entertainment purposes only.